understand is you normally sleep on the other side of the bed. Now you're taking that side. No, it's fine.
I want to fire all the questions at Mark. Yeah. So it's quite different. Like we said, we're like doing kind of like a panel discussion, but it's based around the next generation. And we just had our youth camp, which was absolutely extraordinary, seeing many young kids actually rock up, the volunteers, which are the young adults, like all the next generation stepping into what God's calling them to do. And so I thought it'd be really nice if we could have like a discussion. I could prick the brains of Mark and Debbie, and for you guys to hear their answers to the questions, and how important it is for us as the congregation to help these young kids and young adults even in their walk in life. You know, we don't have it all figured out. We don't know what's coming, and sometimes it just takes an older, I don't want to say old, but a more experienced person to take them under their wing and just go, you know what, let me help you, you know. So I'm going to shoot the first question at you guys. Open a prayer.
Just do what you say.
Just open in prayer. It's a good
Okay.
idea.
Okay, let's
God
open.
idea.
Let's become a marriage advice here. Okay, so let's close our eyes in prayer. Lord, thank you for another beautiful day. We could all come together as a family, spend time in your word, Lord. As we go through these questions, would we be honest in the way that we answer them, and also for us that receive them, Lord, would our eyes and our hearts be opened to that which you want to share with us today, and for it to not just stay here, but to take it home, implement it, and see your kingdom happen outside of just these four walls. And pray that in your name alone. Amen. So, first question is, why are young people so important within the church? I mean, we're quite blessed. We have quite a healthy looking church. We got all older people. We got
Be careful.
we got young adults. We got young adults having kids, you know, then we got the kids. It's quite a healthy church. But what is the importance of having that multi-generational aspect in it?
To be honest with you, I actually don't know.
This is going wonderful.
I just want to say that the youth are not the church of tomorrow, they're the church of today. Okay? So we need to get that right, first of all, is they are the church of today. And it's the combination of the wisdom of the old with the passion of the young. Because the old guys, although some of them are passionate, are not passionate. Okay, we're getting ready to get passionate in eternity. And it's so important for us to see the younger generation come through. If our church was just all old people, this church would die. No, I'm not being funny, but it's true. Because have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Have you just got out of bed and felt what you feel like? You know, you slowly, the Bible says that inwardly you being renewed day by day, but outwardly you're withering away. And if the young generation don't come through, it's the end of church alive. And so it's vitally important for us to be giving and mentoring, not just giving, but mentoring the younger generation into the fullness that God has for them. And so, Lavi, you want to go?
Well, I just feel that the youth and young people and children coming through is so important because it's a natural progression, as Marcus talked about. Also, to continue with the Matthew 28, go into all the world and preach the gospel. Listen, the young people, their credibility is much greater than a 60-something-year-old trying to convince a teenager that Jesus is important for them. okay, it's so important in the life of church and what God has for us. Teenagers especially are at such an important, crucial age of forming their identity. And you know what? If we're not speaking into it, who is? Who is? TikTok? Instagram? Facebook? Music? Music has such a part to play. And so yes, they're very important. We need to be speaking into identity, especially in today's age where, you can identify as anything. I think it's wonderful to have young people. They're a really good stabilizer and leveler for the oldies. They don't like fake. And so they challenge us to be more authentic in what we do. And so I just love them. I think they can sometimes be a breath of fresh air, although they can sometimes be a little bit of a slap on the chin. So, those are really important things for me. And why they're important in the church is, as Mark said, they're not the church of tomorrow. Neither are they the leaders of tomorrow. They're actually early leaders. We need to be discipling them. Okay, we talk about mentoring because that's the new thing, but actually in the word it's called discipleship. Into what God has gifted and called them to do. And that's what we trust to do. That we would be part of bringing out in them what God is speaking into their lives. So, yeah.
So then, following on that, talking about it's not the church of tomorrow, but it's the church of today. All right. Now I want to go into. We always have this factor, and we can read in 1 Timothy 4 verse 12, where it says, "Don't let them look down upon you because of your age." So, would age limit what God can do through you? Like, is that because a lot of people here are like, "Oh, yeah, but you're not old enough yet." Like, you're trying to move too fast.
No, I don't think age is a problem. I just think we need to take that whole scripture in context that Timothy's been spoken to. He says, do not allow them to look down on you because of your youth, but be an example in. And so there's some instructions there for the young people too that we need to take into account. And that's where discipling and mentoring, I believe, would come to play. But no, David was a teenager and many others were young when God was talking to them. I mean, Samuel's another one. He was a young guy when God called him and spoke to him. And so definitely not. I don't think we're needing, what needs to happen is as Mark and I often say to people, life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so the biggest thing to do in the zeal and the energy of the youth is to not allow them to burn themselves out and become disillusioned, because they're going to, in running a race, you're going to trip sometimes. You know, when you do hurdles? Yeah, you sometimes become a little bit of a cropper. And sometimes that happens in life. And I think for the young, it's to trust God. How do we carry them? Not carry them, that sounds terrible. I don't know. How do we help them and encourage them that they do not get disillusioned by things they see in running their race, and also not in their energy, not becoming critical of those who maybe aren't as energetic as them, who have run a race already. And so I think it's a balancing act that we're needing to try and do. But no, age is not an issue.
Why are you looking at me like that? I'm not a hamburger. This like eats so much at McDonald's. Do you know this? He eats like 5 burgers. Poor Paige. Your budget, my dear. You got to watch this guy. Lift up your shirt. No, don't do that.
No.
If I'd planted this church at the age of 17 years old, it would be a disaster. Okay. And while I don't think that you should despise young people and limit their giftings and callings, there is an element that is called life experience that is very, very important, especially for those that are going to go into ministry. Okay. I wanted to plant a church when I was 18 years old, and Mark van Straten said to me, "You're not planting it until you're 30. And when I turned 30, I thought heaven was going to come to earth and nothing happened. But I can tell you one thing, that it was right, because I had to. There's Bible school. Okay. but there's also the university of the Spirit. In other words, you don't learn to forgive by reading the Bible. You learn to forgive by going through the tough things in life. And you learn that ministry is servanthood. Because when I was young, I checked all these oaks on the stage and I thought, gee, that would be quite lekker. You know, little did I know that actually it's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with servanthood. And so Mark van Straten trained me, and it was horrible.
It's similar to what I'm experiencing now.
Oh, yeah, right, Yaku. What a lot of rubbish. You guys, you get freaking ice cream in the morning, bunny chows at lunchtime. I
Got a
was the
different leadership style.
different leadership style. He's getting my little quirks. No, let me tell you, I learned to serve. My job was to sweep up cake, to put out chairs, to scrub his white desk once a week, to make tea. I can never forget the one day. He used to call me Rogers. He said, Rogers, I hope he doesn't watch this video. He said, don't worry, Mark, you've learned a lot since then.
He maybe doesn't like tea like me.
Anyway, and he held a tea bag up like that, dripping. He probably say he doesn't remember because he's very old.
Oh, yes, he's still.
Anyway, he's holding the tea bag like that, and the tea's dripping back in the cup. And he says, what is this? I left a tea bag in his cup. You know. And to be honest with you, it was a tough time. And I know I'm going on a little bit long, but I think this is relevant because a lot of young people think that they can just step out at any age and whatever. That's not true. You need life experience. Debbie and I had meetings 7 nights a week. And then we got a holiday in Joburg and we asked to leave early. And Mark van Straten said to us, no, you can leave at 12 when you finish the meeting. He was not easy, but he taught us the difficult things. So what I am saying to you is, although the Bible says do not despise, do not let anybody despise or look down on you because you're young, okay, you also need to be teachable to the older folk, and you need to realize that there is such a thing as life experience.
So I'm kind of going to throw 2 in 1 here. So talking about that, the life experience, what role do we as the church play, in mentoring the youth? How can we go about it? I know it takes us as the youth, like we need to put out that hand and say, hey, would you mind? But how can the church go about actively helping the younger generation in doing such things, helping us over those little hurdles, or be careful, there's a pit in front, you're going to fall into it? Because I think sometimes we just focus at the finish line, but we don't look here, we just look there. And that can sometimes cause problems down the line.
I think we, as a church, we've lost it, to be absolutely honest, because in a sense, we've lost the whole thing of each one, reach one, teach one. And we employ people like myself to disciple everybody, which is impossible. Jesus effectively discipled 12. And can I just say this to you, that we think we can disciple 100. You can't. So it works both ways. First of all, the older men need to understand that Christianity is not about just sitting around. It's about being a father. And when I mean a father, I'm not saying to your biological children. Yes, you got to be a father to your biological children, but it's also about being a father to the younger generation. And that happens organically. You can't go up to a young person and say, okay, I'm your father now. I'm gonna mentor you. It's something that happens as you build relationships. And when you build a relationship, that young person learns to trust you as a father, a spiritual father. And then the same goes for the younger people. You guys need to understand that you don't know it all. And then actually you need to befriend somebody that's gone ahead of you. Okay, I do know about children and the rearing of children. I'll never Jotham, shh. Women shall be silent in church. Jotham one day phoned me 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, can you actually believe this?
With Miles, the first one.
Yeah, he phones me I think you answered it first. And I can hear he's saying, Dad, I'm going to go off my rocker because I actually didn't sign up for this and all this or whatever, And I'm listening to this and I said, just give me the telephone, please. So I said to Jotham, will you just please just do your thing? The problem with you as dad is that you don't know what this is like. 3 kids later, I don't know what it's like. In fact, Jotham's the one that I nearly threw out the 2nd-story building, the window, because he wouldn't sleep. But the whole thing was, what was the question?
How can you mentor the younger?
You need to be intentional. In other words, I believe that every older man in this church needs to be mentoring one younger guy. Are you with me? And I've had many mentors over my life. One stage I had Charles Gordon, and then I had Fiona Desfontaine. You cannot live this life without a mentor to help you, to be able to share things with that you would never share with other people. And so it's an intentional thing. It's not something that's just going to happen. You've got to seek out the young, and the young need to seek out the old.
I think the biggest thing that's happening in life today with it being so busy and kind of feels like there's a greater stress level that people are having to manage is it's time. And so actually it's being inconvenienced, and we don't really like that. But if we really have a heart for the young people, first of all, parents, you're going to need to be inconvenienced because they're not going to go out at the time that you want them to go out. That's just not how life is. So Mark and I, in those days, there was no Ubers, with our children. I remember we used to go to bed, get up to go and fetch the kids if they'd gone out to mates or going out somewhere. And in those days as well, there wasn't a lot in Ballito, so it was Gateway. So we would drive to Gateway. But we had made certain decisions that, first of all, they were not coming home with a friend. And
They're not driving home with a friend.
Driving home with a friend who just got a new driver's license. And so it became inconvenient. But what happened is, it was a really great time for me, actually. I want to tell you this, there were pluses to it, because I would drive and keep quiet, and I'd listen to conversations. It was very enlightening. Very enlightening. With our eldest, we actually had a VW Combi. So we often did the trips and helped the school and everything else. Again, it was super enlightening. It wasn't always convenient. It wasn't convenient to go off and do stuff. But if you're going to be part of seeing this next generation come through, there is some inconvenience. The biggest thing as well is this whole thing, again, of identity and formation of them. And so we needing to be giving them the truth. The church, we are responsible to share truth with them and to also be an example of it, which is a big responsibility. Because as I said, the young people aren't into faith. And also it's like us trusting to have the balance of entertainment and formation, because we can't just entertain. I don't believe they will keep their walk with God close. And so for us in this season, what's been such a blessing is to see some of our young people who have left and say come back, or gone and studied and come back, and seeing them still serving God. And that is a fruit. And so for people who are putting into young people's lives at the moment, you're not going to see that reward yet. And so don't become weary in well doing. It says, in due season you will reap if you faint not. So we as a whole church need to see that and take hold of it and realize that the young people and the kids, all these areas, every single person is important at Church Alive, no matter what age they are, because we all need that part to play. And so, yeah, my biggest thing is be prepared to be inconvenienced and also be prepared to be honest as a church. Be honest. Like, don't be cruel. You know, speak truth in love and gentleness. But before Yaka and Jared came onto staff, there was 2 years or so where I used to go out and teach the youth. And it was a blessing for me. I don't know how much of a blessing it was for them, but they still came. They were very submissive. But I realized that at my age, that I was at that time, that I was going to be brutally honest about certain things about life. And so I didn't put trills or frills on certain things with them. And I think it was beneficial that I did that. It was a bit scary at times, but I just felt I needed to say it like it is. Don't put the icing on. Because they're going out into the world and they've got to face stuff. And they've got to face peer pressure. And they've got to face certain ideas that are going to be thrown at them. And they need to be able to stand. And so, yeah, the church is very important. Every single one of you are important.
Can I just mention one other thing? Okay. Some of you have got teenagers that are jawling. Okay. Now, can I tell you they are going to jaw? Just get a revelation.
Just like they're going to lie.
They are going to jaw. Amy never jawled. Amy jawled at home. My boys jawled. Okay, they are going to jaw. They are not. What's wrong, Ryan? I don't know. Ryan's telling me to hurry up or something. I don't know. Are you telling me to hurry up? I don't know what's wrong. What's wrong?
Please edit this out.
Anyway, no, but when somebody shows me cartwheels, I don't know what's going on. Should I do a cartwheel or what should I
No,
do?
please don't.
Similar to the songs Jared and Jotham used to
My
sing.
encouragement to you is when that happens, okay, you know that the front end of the spacecraft, when they come through the atmosphere, that tip of that spacecraft comes off. Okay, and the guys are inside there. The rest of the ship goes away, and there's a period of time where they lose contact with the earth, and they're waiting to hear if they've come through that atmosphere at directly the correct angle. Because if they come through the atmosphere at a different angle, that capsule blows up. I don't know if you know that. And that's why they all sit with anticipation to hear from the team. Now, my encouragement to you is this. There's going to come a time in your teenager's life where you feel like you've lost communication. And my advice to you is keep the friendship. Don't kick them out. Don't break the connection that you have with them. Because if you hold on and you maintain the relationship, even although you don't agree with what they're doing, they're going to come through.
There's one thing that research and psychologists say is that, you know, which is similar to the scripture of train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will depart from it. They talk about that there's a time in their teen years and young adult years where they kind of like, maybe it's in that time when they're starting to, I can have my say, and so rebelliously they want to push away the truths and the values that you as a family hold dear to, and they want to form their own. But what they found in research is that actually eventually they come back to what were the values. So it's that time where you've kind of got to have your hand open a bit. But that is where the rest of the church have such a huge part to play, because they'll listen to them more than they'll listen to mum and dad.
So why do you guys think, and I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think we all know the answer, but I just want to hear from your side. Like, why does the enemy attack youngsters the way he does? I mean, I almost want to say the young is more vulnerable than the old, because they're getting it left, right, and center. We look at social media, all these things that we've just mentioned. You know, what happens when it gets
Because it's
this
called
way?
the formative years. So they're still having to really establish those convictions. They're really having to establish who they are and what their principles and values are. Yes, they've got the appearances, but it's a time where, it's even at that time where, if you've heard of a course years ago, it was called the 3 Chairs, they have got to accept Jesus personally for themselves. They can't live this life on their parents being Christians. You know, I'll live my life on my parents' faith and my parents' prayers. It's got to become something for them. And I believe that's why. Because they are having to make those decisions. They're in a time of really forming who they are in Jesus, hopefully in Jesus. Yeah. So the enemy will come in, and they need to be anchored, and they're not yet, because they're still. So again, that's why they need the church and the love of the church.
They're the future church.
No, they're the church of today.
Or they're the church of today, but they're also the church of the future. So the devil doesn't want them to grab a hold of faith, because all hell breaks loose when they grab a hold of faith, because they don't want them to serve the Lord.
And today, with all the social media and stuff that we've got, there are so many voices out there that they can lean their ear to. I think they must probably every day hear about 10 different voices on a subject or more. I mean, I don't know. But there are so many voices out there. And it's like trusting God for protection over their hearts and over the truth they've already heard, that they will listen to the true voice.
So then, I mean, we've spoken about how important it is for the church to mentor the kids and step in and help them. But then, how important is it for parents to go home and still implement those things at home outside of just these 4 walls? I mean, you guys have 3 kids, all full-time serving the Lord, you know. How did that go about, and how did you get there? I mean, there's probably some people that look at you guys from the outside and go, whoa, you know, I want that for my family. It's like, how did you do that with 3 kids?
Well, first of all, I think the grace and mercy of God. But we also had certain decisions that we'd made that were just not negotiable.
Have you seen what we look like?
And one of them was specifically, so I just felt that if we make school not negotiable, they have to go to school. Okay, and well, it's even a law of the land. Do you negotiate with your 5, 7, 8-year-old if they shower and brush their teeth? Do you negotiate with them? Do you want to go to the doctor when they're sick? So we don't give them those, but yet I find that as children get into their teen years, it can become a negotiation of whether they join you in church or not. And so for me, that was one big, very big, strong, not negotiable. I'm not saying you have to do it, just for us, was while you're growing up in this house and you do not have a choice to go to school and you do not have a choice with all those different things, church is also not negotiable. Because I'm responsible. I, as your parent, am responsible for your you learning about eternity at this stage. And so, yeah, when you're older, you have the choice. But right now, they didn't. And so we didn't stop them going out. My boys did go out. They slept over. So when they did sleep over at a friend's house, it was you can sleep over as long as we pick you up for church. And so that's what we did. And so I'm sure there were many times they were snoozing in the back, blowing bubbles. When cell phones became more around, I'm sure they were on their phone. But it's amazing how osmosis works, because sometimes now in their adulthood, they say things, and I think, where did you get that from? And I think back and I think, you know what? Things were going in those years when they were sitting there going, I wish I was at home asleep. It went in. Another key thing is we really trusted God that our children would have a place of expression in church. And God was faithful to that, because our kids started playing drums and things like that. So that also was something that kept them part of the life of the church. And yeah.
So if they lived under our roof, they came to church. Doesn't matter whether they were 18 or 30. If they lived at 54 Zen Drive, they came to church. And we also didn't give them a choice as to which church they went to, because we were responsible for them getting the word that was correct, that was balanced, okay? That was so important. So we didn't allow our kids to go to other churches. We also never allowed them to stay at home. They came to church. So they could go jawling the night before. That's why maybe if there were some older people here, Vera, did you ever see our kids blowing bubbles in the back going, you know, they were totally out of it. But those are things that we never allowed to happen, whether I would drag them into the car if they didn't come.
And then just regarding parents, I was reading an article, so this is not all mine, and it said this about parenting and our teenagers, and you are, this article was saying, which I agree with, it says you are the primary spiritual shapers, whether it's intentional or not. You are. You, parents, don't abdicate your responsibility to the church. Church is important, but you are the number one. You're the first responsibility. God gave you those children and to raise. And this article went on to talk about you set the tone. Even you set the tone in how coming to church. Are you coming to church with, oh gosh, it's another tick in my diary? Well, then your children are going to drag their feet as well. If you have an expectation, children pick up our vibes, you know, and so we set the tone. Also, children are with you at home more than they're with us. And so that you are the Bible they're reading all the time. You are the ones, you showing faith in real life to your children all the time. And so you are vitally important.